Hello, welcome to Skye Sweaty Record Review, episode 32? Let's call it that. It's the only YouTube channel dedicated to a new music review done by a professor of French immediately after getting out of the YMCA. Now, today I'm going to be reviewing Anderson .Paak. It should actually be spelled Anderson space period Paak, P-A-A-K. A little over-stylized name, but let's get to the music. First of all, the title. The title of the album is called Oxnard, which, well, I'm thinking a lot of California because it's on fire, but also I used to go to Oxnard. I got my doctorate in Santa Barbara. That's how I became a French professor. And I would go to Oxnard because that's where the Target was. So when I think about Oxnard, I don't think of like some great artistic hotbed. I think of like just some place off of the 5 where you can go to malls and there's like some nice beaches. So it's pretty interesting to have an album called Oxnard. Apparently he's from Oxnard. So here we go. What is the album? First of all, it's kind of a question I like asking a lot with music, which is, what's the point of starting a revolution if nobody follows you? And by that I mean, why would somebody innovate music and make something totally new and interesting? And why should we punish people who follow that? The example I always think of is when someone played Muse for me, and they were like, "Can you believe these horrible Radiohead ripoffs?" And I was like, "Yeah, but at least somebody's trying to make music that's really good like Radiohead does." And in this case, I would say someone is trying to follow Kendrick Lamar and trying to follow To Pimp a Butterfly, which is an amazing album. Even Kendrick Lamar himself more or less abandoned that formula in his last couple albums. Not entirely. But this follows a similar way. Like, if you liked Butterfly Wings, check out Oxnard. It's a lot of, like the Kendrick album, it's a lot of like music. Just musicians actually making music. And I believe they are all friends of bandmates with Anderson .Paak himself, who is a drummer, which gives him extra points. So it's that very kind of 70s soundscape. At times it sounds like a detective TV show. At times it sounds like a blaxploitation soundtrack. At times it just sounds like 70s soul. And mixed in with that is his rapping, which it sounds harsh, but I would call it Kendrick light. It's got a very similar kind of California nasally flow to the point where I didn't even know if it was Kendrick Lamar at points. And then on the third track, it is Kendrick Lamar. He makes a guest appearance, so I got all confused. But unlike Kendrick Lamar, it's not quite as good. It's not even close, actually. The lyrical quality, the wordplay, everything isn't quite there. But still, it's a solid album. And I would say that it is like the worst parts of To Pimp a Butterfly through the entire album, which is still a really good album because that was a nearly perfect record. As far as highlights goes, I think pretty easily the highlight is a track called 6 Summers, which I believe he produced himself. It's like a political song, but unlike most political songs, it doesn't make you want to turn it off immediately. I was going to come up with something like funny there, but just turn it off. The revolution will not be televised, it will be streamed live. Okay, that's a little bit of a push, but still, like, constantly talking about Trump scandals and the need to self-medicate to deal with all the stress. He refers to the President of the United States by saying, "Someone better take this N-word's phone, please. Are you kidding me?" Which is kind of funny. I would say I like the song This Is America, but This Is America is way too self-aware, way too self-important. I think this is kind of like This Is America if it didn't take itself if it didn't know that Terry Gross was going to be talking about it the next day in a solemn voice on NPR. I like This Is America, but it's an NPR track, I think. Controversial point. At times, the Kendrickness gets to be a bit much, like the song Mansa Musa, which sounds like King Kunta, which is Mansa Musa was I believe a Malian warlord from the Mali Empire. But it's a great beat. It's got this kind of bloopy keyboard, aggravating drums, very catchy, sort of a saxophone solo. In general, what he does and what the band does is they make songs with very complex music. So it's not just like a normal hip-hop track where you have a loop and then it repeats and then maybe a chorus. Like they'll have an entire song with all real instruments, and then for the last section they'll change it up entirely. A great example of that is another excellent guest appearance by Pusha T on the track Brother's Keeper. This is another one of the top 2 or 3 songs on the album. It's got like guitar and gospel voices, and then when Pusha comes in, it changes entirely. You know, like the musical bed changes entirely, and I appreciate that lack of laziness. I guess you could call it ambition, but I really appreciate it. I would also like to say that Snoop Dogg is the anti-Pusha T. Whenever I see that Pusha T is going to be on a track, I'm like, okay. I get ready, and I'm going to get to listen to a Pusha T verse. He's always good, a little bit repetitive, but he's always good. Like, his songs are usually the best songs on the album. You know, I mean, go back to when I worked with Kanye, or the track with Swizz Beatz a couple weeks ago. And on this album, Brother's Keeper is a great track. But Snoop, you always know that's going to be a skipper. Oh, it's going to be like, ooh, weed, smoking weed, ooh, West Coast. Oh. I used to love that guy. But once he started doing the T-Mobile commercials, it was over. So anyways, that's my controversial point. Snoop is the anti-Pusha T. And then it ends with the catchiest track, Left to Right. And I'm tempted to actually say that that's my track of the album. I would say that both Six Summers and Left to Right get the Skye stamp. Left to Right has an interesting beginning, and it has really the only hook on the entire album. Left to right, left to right. I don't know if that looks left to right. It's reversed in the camera, so I don't know if I went left to right. And then you're looking at me, and is it my left? Is it your? It doesn't matter. I'm not a dancer. But Left to Right is great. It has a really intense beginning. It's some of his best rapping. He's rapping right on top of the beat. It's very high energy. It's that 70s detective soul feeling. Very catchy. He does it like in a Jamaican patois, which is a little bit weird because according to his press releases, he's like part Korean and part African American. But hey, who am I to say who can sing in Jamaican patois? So I would say that's another great track. On the whole, I would say it is Kendrick-ish, ambitious, and yeah, I'll just stick with 2. Who needs 3 words? I got 2 words. Kendrick-ish and ambitious-ish. Okay, for the trivia, Baloo. No. Thomas the Tank Engine theme song. All right. And there's the camera. I really got to itch my nose, so I have to do it before I hit stop. I mean, after I hit stop, because I don't want it to look like I'm picking my nose on camera. Okay.